Hello, everybody. We are just waiting a few minutes until a couple of more people come into the session, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. Well, welcome, everybody. My name is Judy Stelling, and I'm the director of the Jobs and the Skilling Program at GetSetUp. And today is part of our ongoing initiative to introduce age-inclusive employers to our community. We've got the team, and we're so excited today to have the team from Oracle here with us today. And in a few minutes, I'm going to turn this presentation over to them, or this session over to them, and they'll have a chance to talk about the company, the culture, and what it's like to work at Oracle. So on that note, let me tell you a little bit about Oracle in case you don't know. Oracle is a large worldwide global integrated technology company, and they provide organizations all over the globe with computing infrastructure and software and tools that help them transform businesses. We've got a team here from the talent team to different groups within the organization, and each of them will share a little bit about the company and their role in the company and the types of jobs that are available. So on that note, I'd like to go ahead and get started and turn it over to Shane, who's going to kick the session off from Oracle.
Thanks, Judy. Hi, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity to chat with you. I'm going to tell you a lot about Oracle in a short burst of time because I want to save the good stuff for those who are going to speak to the roles that they have open. So real quick backdrop on Oracle. So we've been around for a long time. We were established in 1977 as Software Development Lab. So 46 years, short years later, here we are, Oracle. We're pretty big. As Judy mentioned, we're a global company. We're a Fortune 100 company. We're headquartered in Austin, Texas, and we're proud to have a wonderful and a growing list of female CEOs, a wonderful CEO in Safra Katz. We're roughly, I don't know, give or take a few thousand of our closest friends, about 150,000 employees globally across 76 countries and roughly 40 billion, just north of 40 billion in terms of revenue size. All right, so what does that mean and what does it mean to you? Culturally, I know when we all look at companies that we may potentially join, we want to understand, like, okay, I get what you do and how you do it and all that stuff, and I can read things about you. What is it going to feel like working for the company? Well, I can tell you, having been here just a little bit more than 10 years, the things you're going to feel, the things you're going to see, the things you're going to observe is we're a collaborative community. As a company, we are growth and development focused, right? So these are important to us. We throw a lot of time and energy at internal mobility. We want people to get into Oracle, find great careers, great opportunities, apply themselves, learn and grow, and we want them to move into other opportunities as well. We're large enough and we've got enough different types and flavors of roles to where it's not unusual. I mean, my boss, Mariana Gurovich, has been here, 21 years now, I think, Mariana. I mean, you can find lots of things to do without ever leaving the company. So internal mobility is really important to us. And one of the last things I guess I would say is we're diversity focused. We've had a huge push. One of my colleagues, Melissa Nicholas, who's our diversity program manager, is on this call. And we've had a huge push to make sure that we are bringing in lots and lots of folks from different backgrounds. We know that we get stronger as a company the more diverse we are. And so we've done a really, really fabulous job, whether it's reaching out to different communities, bringing on veterans and their significant others, things like that. So got a great focus. So culturally, I think those would be some of the descriptors that I would use to describe Oracle. All right, so Judy mentioned, like, we're a big company. We do a lot of different stuff. We've got lots of different solutions. We've got on-premise solutions, cloud solutions. We operate in the software as a service space, platform as a service space, infrastructure as a service space. I could go on and on. We do a lot of stuff. We just recently finished an acquisition of Cerner, which two of our our speakers today are from the Cerner Business Group. They're amazing at what they do. They operate in the healthcare space. So we're going to hear a little bit more about what we do there. From a solutions perspective, it's everything from database and content management, security, machine learning, networking to applications like electronic health records, it's ERPs, it's HCMs, it's human capital management is HCM. So everything you can imagine that a tech company probably would touch, we touch, right? So lots of things that we do. We operate in just about every vertical and industry you can think of, from automotive to food and beverage to healthcare, high tech, hospitality, retail, utilities, oil and gas, et cetera, et cetera. So we are well positioned to continue to succeed across a variety of verticals, and we help those great companies achieve their mission and their goals. We sell to companies from the very smallest entities. I think about NetSuite is a great example. We've got a speaker from NetSuite today. We are the chosen provider for small to mid-sized companies in that particular space. NetSuite does an amazing job getting those solutions out to small to mid-sized companies. We operate really well in the mid-market space, the enterprise space, and the global space. I think we're doing business with all 100 of the Fortune 100 to put it in perspective. So what are the role types that we typically hire for? I would say we hire for everything from real entry level, and that could even include new graduates coming in through our campus program, folks that have just light experience in a given thing, right? It could be 6, 12, 18 months of experience. We hire those folks, mid-career folks, senior folks, experienced folks. We hire it all. In some cases, we hire remote. In some cases, we might hire in the hubs like Burlington and Nashville, Austin, Chicago, Denver, Santa Monica, Reston, just to name a few. We hire for consultants. Those are often delivery consultants. So you'll hear the term functional consultant versus technical consultant. We hire them all. We hire adoption and training folks, people who are instrumental in helping our new clients adopt to their solutions and make sure that they're running correctly and they're optimized and they're integrated with the other solutions. And those clients are getting the full value and realization of partnering with NetSuite, Cerner, Oracle, et cetera. We hire customer support roles, sales and pre-sales roles, software developers and engineers, operations, those channel and alliance roles. So I'm trying to cram a lot into a little bit of time here, but as you can get a sense, if you have an interest or any background with technical, we probably have a place where we hire those types of folks. And those folks are working for teams like you're going to hear from today from Meg and Matt and Grant. And these folks are doing great work with great clients. So with that, I'd like to say I'm done with the long, short version of the Oracle intro. And I'd like to introduce you to the people who matter, and starting with Meg Miller, who is a leader on the Cerner side of the business. So Meg, I'll leave it to you.
Thanks, Shane. Like Shane mentioned, I was part of the Cerner side of the business, which is now called Oracle Health. We were acquired by Oracle back in October, and it became official in October. And I can second what Shane was saying in regards to collaboration and culture and diversity. I have been able to experience all of those things since joining Oracle, and I think it's wonderful. I am currently a consulting manager in our federal space. So I work with the DoD and the VA, and we are working on implementing our electronic health record or electronic medical record with all of the different locations within the VA and within the DoD. The ultimate goal is to have a very seamless transition between medical records as our active duty military members transition over to being to being veterans and being cared for by the VA. So that's one of our primary goals through this large project. Within this project, I actually manage our team of federal learning specialists. And so that's the position I'm going to be talking with you about. Our team is approximately right now about 175 people, and we're still actively recruiting. My team focuses on the training and the coaching aspect. So it is a hybrid role. We are the people who go on site and deliver classroom training. We also provide at the elbow support during go live. So I'm sure, as you can imagine, the first time you have to utilize the system, everyone gets stressed out and forgets everything they learned during their training courses. We try to provide them with what they need go live day, but a lot of people forget. So our team is there to provide the pre-go live training, give them what they need for go live, and then be there during go live to help remind them what they learned during training and help, bring that stress level down and ensure that people are able to care for their patients while continuing to document within their new system. My team is also responsible for providing post go live training. So we provide new hire training and refresher training for each site after they go live for a set period of time. So what I just described to you, we have both virtual and in-person opportunities. So the majority of our work is going to be in person. We try to do as much in-person training pre-go live as possible. And then of course our go live support is primarily in person as well. However, my team also does provide virtual training. So there is some virtual opportunity to lead those virtual classrooms on platforms similar to Zoom. We use a couple of different platforms to lead these various classes. What we're really looking for in this type of a role is someone who is articulate, someone who is able to take, complex ideas and break them down into something that's easily understandable, and the ability to gain confidence of others quickly. So someone who loves working with people. I would think the majority of the folks on my team would say they love that light bulb moment. When you're working with someone and they finally understand what they're doing, it's a really rewarding position in that way. We're working directly with the people who are utilizing our system every single day, which is great. So we see a lot of people come into our position from maybe if they had an education background and they're looking for something different. So we really are looking for people who, have adult education experience or maybe have some exposure to the medical world or any type of corporate training. It is a requirement for this role that all of our folks live within the continental United States, because we do require quite a bit of travel for the role. I'm sure you can imagine going to the various sites to conduct the training. So we do require that all of our associates live within the continental United States and within 60 miles of an international airport. Because this is also a federal position, all of our associates have to go through a security clearance process with the government to get tier 3 or secret security clearance. So that does mean that the role requires for everyone to be a US citizen. So it's a really fun role. We have a really great team, very supportive. It's very rewarding. And I guess the only other thing I would probably talk about is that the travel piece of this. So I know the role, if you were to be interested and look at the job posting, I believe it says up to 100% travel. Sometimes that scares people off. I don't want that to be scary. It doesn't mean we're going to put people on the road 52 weeks out of the year. What that does mean is that you could potentially be sent to the site, 6 weeks to do training and then 2 additional weeks to do coaching during go live. So you might be going back and forth to the same site for 8 weeks, and then you get your next assignment. And that might be a virtual assignment, or it might be another travel assignment. It just depends on what our business need looks like at that time. So that's a little bit about the role. And I can see a couple questions in the chat. It looks like, is this a contract position and how long is the duration? It's not a contract position. Thank you, Shane, for answering that. So people come into the role, they usually stay in the role for about a year, a little bit over. And then we also have some defined career paths and movement from this position. And that's part of our team culture. We really encourage that movement.
Hey,
So
Meg, one of the things I was thinking about is the variety of work you get to do in that role, right? I mean, you can go to client A and get set up, then you go to client B when your work is done. And I know that lots of our hires, over the course of the last 6-8 months have really highlighted that variety of work and the travel opportunity, while it might feel a little heavy sometimes, like I'm doing something different every several months, and that's fun.
yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. You definitely are still always training, but you never have 2 days that look identical, right? You're working with different people. You could be going to different sites. There's a lot of variety, which is a great thing about the role. So that's my federal learning specialist role. I think we're going to come back for questions later. So I'm actually going to pass this over to Matt.
All right, thank you, Meg. So I am a little bit more on the other side. So basically where my job is more so associated with is solution consulting. So solution consulting is pre-sales. So while Meg's team is kind of teaching people after they've gotten the software, training them, getting them pretty live within their software, what I'm doing and what my team is doing is basically understanding this is what your current needs or current challenges are, and how can we make you understand the power of NetSuite and understand how we can solve your challenges with something like NetSuite. So that is what solution consulting kind of does. So those folks typically have some type of business process understanding or accounting understanding or supply chain backgrounds, things of that nature. You might hear the roles be considered a sales engineer or pre-sales, but all of those things are really trying to marry the different aspects of what you're doing within a business. So using an ERP to make yourself more efficient with inside of your day to day. Now, what I usually am looking for is folks for the academy. So the academy is where we actually are training people from those backgrounds, like have an accounting background or sales background or supply chain background, and really are taking those folks through our training program of 7 months, where we're teaching you some of those background business processes. So what is lead to cash? What is procurement? What is accounting? And how those things are working with inside a NetSuite to then build you into that person that's considered a subject matter expert or an expert on the software. What we're also teaching is more so around the soft skills of being what a solution consultant is. So what is tell, show, tell, for instance, or what are value selling points or things of that nature. So that's what we're actually going through in that academy, and we typically look for folks that are around 3 to 6 years of experience, kind of going into trying to get into this particular position. But solution consulting itself, we hire folks with all types of experience and bringing them into the fold, because we look for people that actually know what they're talking about whenever they're going through and talking to a customer. We want you to have some empathy for those people and say, hey, I understand you went through manual processes. I used to go through manual processes before I started working at NetSuite, and I see the synergies that it can create. So those are the things that we typically look for. Now, the minimum requirements and kind of requirements for solution consulting as a whole is really just having a love for learning and a love for understanding business processes and efficiencies. How do you make someone better with the software that you're selling? Now, what makes people really successful in the role is constantly being a sponge and always wanting to learn more about the software, more about the industries that you serve, and being open and feeling really open for feedback. I laugh about it because the entire program is nothing but feedback. It's just kind of what we give. And then whenever you graduate, you still get constant feedback. So it's always a part of your role. And just being open with it and understanding it's never to be against you or anything like that. It's all meant to help. And so that's a majority of what we do there. The location-wise, so we actually do a hybrid. So we actually have some remote classes as well as some on-site classes. So we have Santa Monica, where I am located. We have that as a hub, but there's Austin, there is Burlington. We are starting to look at other locations and kind of bringing back Denver. So there's several locations that way, and then they also have the remote side. So there's always some type of ability to travel as well within that. But in terms of our travel requirements, it really just depends on where you end up. Travel requirements for an SC, I've been part of the company for 5 years, and I was a part of the solution consulting side for about 3. I didn't travel all that much, but some of my colleagues, they traveled once or twice a month, some of them once a week. It really just depends on what service that you're actually providing and what part of the industry you're a part of and what deals you get. So it is very open. If you don't like to travel, that is also okay, and you can do a lot of it from home, as you can see what we're doing today. So it's pretty much done through Zoom. And whenever you are in person, they are longer and kind of going through it, but there's so much more excitement because you can see this person face to face. Do they understand what the heck I'm actually telling them? And if they don't, maybe I should actually change my approach. But when someone doesn't have their camera on, there are those moments where you don't know if they're cooking in the background or you're not sure what they're doing. So there is those things too. So I've been around both of them. Lastly, what kind of also makes people successful here, I think the biggest one that I personally think is fantastic is, one, I love mentoring. It's part of my life and the reason why I got into this training role in the first place. Mentoring, while it may not seem like a huge thing while you're trying, especially as you're new in a role, it's all about if I can explain this complex topic in layman's terms to my mentee or to a salesperson, that is really going to help me explain it to customers better as well. Because now I'm explaining something to someone that probably has no idea what the heck I'm talking about. And now I'm explaining it to someone that's at least in the industry, so they have that concept. They understand what is potentially what I'm going with, and it makes it a lot faster to be able to do that. You can start shortening your calls because you're explaining things the correct way. There's a lot of efficiency that you gain just by being a mentor to people. And that's what ended up driving me to the role that I'm in now, to teach people how to do the job. So a lot of things that go with solution consulting. I do want to answer whatever questions that we have in the chat associated with it as well. I don't see any, so it's fantastic, fantastic. I will give it over to Grant for our next part.
Thanks, Matt.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Grant Berry. And like Meg, I came over from the Cerner side of things when Oracle acquired Cerner. So now Oracle Health. And I'm a manager of client support for our IT Works help desk. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our support analyst position, kind of what that entails. So kind of first thing I want to get out of the way about the support analyst position is that it can fall into a couple different buckets or kind of departments, for lack of better terms. Obviously, I'm with the help desk, like I said, so a lot of what I'm going to talk about is very help desk centric. But those other buckets or departments that I mentioned, for all intents and purposes, it's the same amount of support, and everything that we're doing is the same, but there's a couple slight different nuances. So just to kind of get that out of the way. But so the IT Works help desk support analyst position, basically what that is, what we do. We have about a little over 200 support analysts right now. And we support about 25 or 26 clients, which are various hospital systems throughout the country. And we are their tier 1 help desk. So to kind of picture that, to kind of give you a real world example, one of the clients that we support, if a nurse is at her computer charting on a patient, they have any sort of IT related issue, we're the ones they call. So once they call that IT help desk number, that's when we go to work. So a lot of the position in and of itself is customer service based, because we are very much the face of their IT department. If they think of their IT department, they're really thinking of us. We're the one that is having the most interaction with them. So the customer service piece to this role is absolutely huge. It's really what makes a lot of people successful and kind of come in and hit the ground running. And then it's also coupled with that technical piece. So it is a tier 1 technical support role. So when that nurse calls in with whatever issue that she's having, we want to try to resolve that issue while they're on the phone, so they can get back and see more patients and do whatever else they need to do, and they're not getting hung up on anything IT related. So that really is the essence of the job. There's a lot of multitasking involved, a lot of learning, but it's really kind of in very basic terms of what we do. So kind of run through a couple other things. So our location. So we are a fully remote help desk at this point. Back before the pandemic with Cerner, Cerner was based in Kansas City. So we were on site at that point, and we were one of those departments that quickly had to adjust to a fully remote lifestyle. So that presented its challenges, but we've got it down. I think it's even strengthened a lot of our training programs and those type of things to be able to do that virtually. So we are fully remote now. We do have people based in the Kansas City area still that can go in the office, and then also fully remote analysts throughout the country now. So really, I guess that's hybrid a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, we are fully remote at this time. I know Meg and Matt talked about traveling quite a bit for their roles. For the support analyst role, there's no travel involved whatsoever. So that is nice in that way. And then I kind of touched on it briefly, but what makes somebody really successful at this in the support analyst role? So I would say number one is patience, and number two is willing to learn. So in a tier one support role, we get exposed to a lot of different types of technical issues. It can be anything, password resets, something's going wrong where you have to reboot the computer, clear their caching cookies in a browser, or do any of those type of basic troubleshooting. But when those calls are coming in, you get exposed to so many different types of issues that it's kind of hard to train you or prepare you for every single type of issue. We do our best, so that results in a lot of training material thrown at you where it's hard to absorb all of it. So being patient with yourself as you learn those things and you kind of build up your knowledge base, and then that willingness to learn to really dive into that material, and really start to kind of get a grip on things. So I think I touched on everything there. So I'll hand it back to Judy here to wrap us up if there's any more questions.
Hey, Grant, you do have a question. Is it just phone support, or is there a chat email support mechanism in there as well?
Oh, very good question. So for the support analyst role, it is primarily phone-based. We do also get tickets that are submitted through like a web portal that we work those at the same time. That's significantly less volume than the phone calls. But it is kind of multitasking in that sense where there's a few of those kind of web-based tickets as well.
Yeah, nice. Judy, one of the other things I would just reinforce before we hand it back to you is what everybody should be hearing loud and clear is that we have heavy commitment to training, right? Like each of these roles, they have heavy commitment to training. So we, where we have roles like this, we don't just throw folks into the deep end and hope they can swim. We do a really, really nice job setting people up for success.
That's great to know. So for example, Shane, with the Cerner product in the support, you're not expecting people to come in knowing the software already. You train them and then prepare them for the role. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little bit differently in like Grant and Meg's groups, but yes, and we've got other groups as well. But I would say Cerner in particular, and the group that Matt works in, Solution Consulting Academy, they have some of the best training mechanisms at Oracle.
Okay. We do have a couple of other questions that are coming in. There was an earlier one that asked if any of the roles were part-time positions. Are these all full-time roles that you're referencing today?
Yes.
Okay.
For support analysts, there's full-time and part-time. I don't know if there's any part-time postings at this specific time, but that is part of the support analyst position as well.
And there's another question about equipment for the support analysts. Do you provide the technical equipment that they need for the role?
Yes. So things like headset, mouse, keyboard, all that type of stuff is provided. I know we do get a lot of questions on monitors at the moment. If it's Kansas City based, we can get a monitor, but at this very moment, that's still a little up in the air on monitors being provided, but that's something we could definitely work out.
And there were a couple of questions that came in from the lounge, from Myrna in the lounge. One of them had to do with pay. And obviously, I'm sure that varies based on each of the roles and the qualifications and the locations and the demands of the job coming in. So unless anybody on the Oracle team wants to address that, I'm going to say that is really dependent on the role that you're applying for.
Yeah, I'll speak to that, Judy. I would say for the roles we're talking about and others that are similar, there's a wide range of levels, if you will, like most large companies, and that's going to dictate a little bit where people are slotted in. If you have a lot less experience versus a lot more experience, you might go in as a level 1 versus a level 5, you know, from a methodology perspective. But I would say, you know, across the spectrum of roles that we recruit for on behalf of clients like these that we're talking to and others, I would say, you know, people who are just kind of dipping their toe in the tech space and into this, these types of roles and others that are similar, you know, high 40s to, you know, 70s probably for your, you know, newer in career or new to the role, new to the technology. And of course, we've got progression opportunity that takes people well up into the 100K and beyond range. So lots of opportunity.
And along the same lines, there was a question about training, like how long are the training programs for the different roles? And I assume that that varies also depending on the product and the role and the type of position you're assuming. That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. And I can talk a little bit about the federal learning specialist space. We put everyone
Okay.
through an initial, 5-week program that gives them healthcare background and also like a brief overview of all of our medical solutions, our electronic medical record. And then after that, we also put people through an additional 6-week training program out of Kansas City, where people are assigned their areas of specialty and going in depth in those areas to allow them to practice and then be prepared to actually train others.
Great.
And I can just say, in Matt's group, Grant, I can't speak to yours, but we've got trainings, that can be 3 or 4 weeks, and we've got trainings that can be 12, 14, 16 weeks. So it really depends on the group and what we're training people to do.
Yeah, and just so we kind of touch on all the training programs, I can speak to the support analyst one just very quickly as well. So kind of what that looks like. First 2 weeks is very much like a orientation to support services. So you kind of get a full picture, full training on how the support organization works together and kind of like those nuances as well. And then once you're officially with the help desk, there's another 6 to 7 weeks of training. And that varies like classroom training, shadowing calls, that type of stuff. So really before you start until you take a phone call on your own, it's about 7 to 8 weeks.
And then we have another question from the lounge, and this is in regards to the positions that require more extensive training, like 6 to 8 weeks was mentioned. The questions are you there basically solid for those 6 to 8 weeks, or you go back and forth, or what days are you on site versus at home?
Sure, I can answer that from the federal learning specialist perspective. Normally, our federal learning specialists will travel out on a Sunday evening because they normally have to start training at 8 a.m. Monday morning at their client site. So they'll leave on Sunday evenings. They might train Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and able to travel home Thursday evening. They might also get some Friday classes. That's happened before also, where they might have to travel home on Friday. So those weeks can have some pretty short turnaround times at home. We do try to give people two full days at home on those weeks where they're traveling, if not more. And then that's during training. During go live, it looks a little bit different because we support different venues. So if we are supporting a hospital that's going live, they would be working 12-hour shifts, and they would only get scheduled 3 or 4 of those alternating. So you might get scheduled 3 one week and then 4 the next. And obviously you'd be at home on your off days. If you're supporting an ambulatory clinic, though, that's an 8 to 5 clinic. And so that would probably look more like a 5-day week on site.
And then another question is, what type of benefits come with the jobs, or can anybody speak about the Oracle benefits?
Yeah, so actually we have a lot of Oracle benefits. I was just going to say that in the postings, in the position postings, there's also a little bit of a description of all the different benefits. We've got health benefits, 401k, lots of different types of corporate perks and things like that. So it's pretty comprehensive and competitive with other technology companies, but they are available in the job postings. And then we also can provide some additional more details around the different benefits.
Great. Okay. Are there any other questions from anybody in the Zoom or in the lounge? Here we go. Okay, Myrna is asking if Oracle is a healthcare company. Do you want to describe your divisions or explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I would say we're a healthcare company now. We've been in the healthcare industry for a long time. It's one of many, but as I mentioned earlier, our wonderful 25,000 or so Cerner family members who just recently joined us takes us from being good in the healthcare space to being amazing, an 800-pound gorilla in the healthcare space. And I'm sure that my teammates would echo that. But we are a technology provider. So that's, again, everything from database to software as a service to, you name it, we kind of touch it from, so I would not say we're a healthcare company. I say we are a technology company that does a great job with healthcare clients, but along with all of those other verticals that I mentioned earlier, high tech, food and beverage, financial services, communications, automotive, et cetera, et cetera. There's probably not a vertical that we don't touch.
Okay. And there's a question in the lounge again about your diversity policies, your openness to hiring people who are retired and maybe want to come back into the workforce. And obviously you're here. So Mariana or Shane, do you want to address that?
I can actually jump in on that one. So yeah,
Okay.
I mean, our premise is that, we want to bring in people from all backgrounds. One of the things that we do in addition to, obviously wanting to find folks from all different backgrounds is also helping them. So we do have a return to work program for anybody who has career gaps. So if somebody who wants to retire and come back, we actually have a program to support that as well. In addition to just being, open-minded and really inclusive. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Melissa. I think it does. And about the question that is in the chat about referencing, if someone is going to apply for a position and write a cover letter, is it okay to reference this session and your names in that cover letter?
Yes, of course. Sorry, I wasn't clear on the question there, but of course.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right. Well, this has been exciting to hear about all the positions, and we thank all of you for taking time out of your day to share the information about Oracle and the opportunities that are available. I'm going to go back and share my screen for just 1 second. And again, there were links put into the chat about how to apply, but I just want to reiterate here again, you can go to jobs.getsetup.com where you'll find a link to the 3 positions that were talked about today, as well as a link to the Oracle website itself, if you wanted to go there to apply. The other thing is that we do have a feedback form. I'm going to put this link into the chat. And if you can take just a few minutes to fill that out, that would be appreciated. I will also include it in the notes that come after the session that you will get in an email for those of you who registered for the event. So on that note, if there's any last questions, let's go ahead and take it. Otherwise, thanks everybody for joining. And we hope our audience found the information very informational, as did you. We appreciate your time here. So thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Take care, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having us. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.